Guys, today I want to talk to you about hard drives. Yeah, probably not that interesting, or is it? I mean, in today's digital world that we live in, storage is king, and being able to store the millions and millions and millions of files, whether they be videos, photographs, music, whatever, having the right storage solution is key. Coming right up. What's up YouTube, Dave here with Scene Through a Lens, and thanks for stopping by the channel. If you haven't stopped by here before, please be sure to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell icon so you can be notified of new videos. So guys, data storage. Over the years I've amassed a ton of different types of drives to store content on. I've had internal, external, I've had parallel, FireWire, SATA, SCSI, USB 2, USB 3, now USB-C, a whole bunch of different types of drive technology, and they've all come in various sizes. I mean, drives have gotten a lot bigger over the last 20 years and been growing and growing and growing to cope with the types of file sizes we have today when we're shooting photographs, video, and if you're like me and you hate MP3s, even when you're storing your music, the file sizes are actually getting bigger. Now, okay, drive prices are reducing, but the point is, because a lot of these drives from the early days are either too slow because the bus speeds are too slow, especially for transferring large files, or the capacities are too small, or really the fact that you've got a whole bunch of these things and they're not really backed up, and then you need another solution to kind of back up the data that you've got in case you get a drive failure. Over time, this stuff has just become painful to deal with. So fast forward to 2020, where COVID has occupied a large part of the year, it's been an ideal time to rethink my storage and workflow strategy. So here it is. This is the Lacie. Yeah, I know it spells Lacie, but this is actually pronounced Lacie. Let me put it down now because it's quite heavy. The Lacie 6 Big Thunderbolt 3 RAID storage array. So why is it the 6 Big? Well, it's got 6 storage bays in this particular model. Why is it big? Well, I don't know, because it isn't really that big. Again, I can lift that up. It's heavy because it's full of disk drives, but it's not big. But it is the 6 Big. Go figure. So yeah, 6 drives in this machine. Each of these drives can be 8 terabytes, so that would give you a maximum storage capacity of 48 terabytes. Quick maths. That's big. Maybe that's the big. They do a 12 big, which is 12 bays of disk drives. This one though is actually configured for 24 terabytes. Now that's still a lot of terabytes. So each of these drives in the 6 bays has 4 terabyte Iron Wolf drives, and these Iron Wolf drives are actually long life. They're meant to be running all the time, not powered down, so should be fairly resilient. The other nice thing about this particular RAID array is that these drives are actually hot swappable, so the machine's running, you can actually pull one of the drives out, even if it's faulty, or if it's not faulty, you just want to change it or whatever reason, and the rest of it kind of keeps running. So that's pretty cool. So who are Lacie? Well, Lacie are a French company who manufacture external hard drives and RAID arrays. RAID, that's like 5 times that I've mentioned RAID. Well, what is RAID? Well, we'll get to that in a second. So back to Lacie. A lot of their products are designed by a Scottish engineer or product design engineer called Neil Poulton, and he puts his name to a whole bunch of technology and lighting type products, as well as these drives. And quite frankly, this thing is built superbly well. It's made out of aluminium and plastic. Aluminium, it's strong, robust, good for heat dissipation, and he even puts his name on these, so yeah, he's definitely behind his products. Okay, so I mentioned RAID a few times. What is RAID? Well, RAID stands for Redundant Array of Independent Disks. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it's kind of like different ways to configure multi-drive systems. So like I said, this has got 6 bays of disk drives. So using those 6 disk drives, there are a number of options that are available to me with different kind of pros and cons. So RAID 0 is probably the most common, and RAID 0 just means you've got, in this particular case, I've got 6 drives, 24 terabytes. I've got access to all of those drives, all of that data, all of that lovely storage capacity. I've got fast read-write speeds, but the downside is I would have no redundancy. So I'd still need some kind of additional backup strategy to back this big drive up. And that would be probably tapes would probably be the best thing. But quite frankly, in this day and age, for people like me, I don't really want tape storage. I don't want to have a tape strategy. I want my data online where I can get to it and suitably protected. So the next configuration that would be open to me would be RAID 1. Now RAID 1 means that I'm going to be mirroring. Now I don't want to get into mirroring, striping, parity, etc, 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 because that's quite boring technical stuff, and you could get that information in lots of places. But particular to this drive, RAID 1 would be mirrored drives. So you'd have mirrored pairs of drives. So I've got 6 drives in this machine. I might have said that a few times already. So if I've got 6 drives, really using mirroring, I would only have access to 3 drives, because the other 3 drives would be used to mirror 1-to-1 the other 3 drives. So you've got a 1-to-1 mirror. So if one of those drives fails, one of the 3 drives fail, you've got a mirrored copy. So you could just unplug the faulty drive, plug in a new drive, and it would rebuild itself from the mirrored drive. So that's great, isn't it? Well, it's great, but there are a couple of downsides. Like I said, I've only got access to 3 drives, so I've reduced my capacity, my storage capacity by 50%, which isn't that great. And I also would be reading and writing a lot slower, because it's got to read, write, mirror, and do all of this kind of overhead every time you're accessing the drive. So yeah, it's a great strategy for redundancy and backup, but it's not a great strategy in terms of costs and performance. So the next option that would be available to me, and this is one that's very, very commonly used, particularly in a 6-drive system, is RAID 5. Now RAID 5 would allow me to have one drive that is my mirrored drive. It's actually not, it's a parity drive, but like I said, I'm not going to get into all of that. But what that one drive does is it actually stores all of the data from the other 5 drives. So in this sense, if I lost one complete drive out of my system, out of the 5 drives, I would then be able to restore that one drive using the parity drive. Now that's good in the sense that read-write speeds are good. I've got access to 5 of my 6 drives, so I'm only losing 1 to the backup or the redundancy capability. But the downside is that I can only lose 1 drive out of my system. So that's potentially a problem. So if I lose 2 drives, I've got a bit of a problem, because I won't be able to rebuild the array from the one parity drive. So a great solution. It's been used a lot. But now what a lot of folks are opting for, including myself, is RAID 6. RAID 6 gives me all the benefits of fast read-write speeds like you'd get with RAID 5, but it uses 2 drives, and those 2 drives are enough to keep the data for the rest of the machine. So the other 4 drives, which I've got access to read-write data and storage, are all backed up by the 2 drives. So that gives me a much more resilient and redundant system. So I don't need to back anything up onto tapes. I don't need to keep separate drives or anything like that. This thing will do it all in a RAID 6 configuration. So that really is the way to go. Now, how it does it, that's somebody else. That's smoke and mirrors and black magic and whatever. That's for somebody else to talk you through. But quite frankly, it does work. I don't want to try it, but it does work. So back to the Lacie. So this thing is an absolutely awesome piece of kit. Like I said, simple design, well built, very, very strongly built, very, very nicely put together. 6 hot swappable bays, Iron Wolf discs. This is an absolute tool which should give lots and lots of future proofing. On the back there are a couple of fans with lots of holes in the chassis for heat dissipation, a power switch, kettle lead type main socket, 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports, a USB 3.1 port and a Kensington lock socket. Can't say I've ever used a Kensington lock socket. I mean, it's a nice touch if you're in an open plan office or something like that and you need to secure this, but the fact that you've got 6 hot swappable drive trays, you could probably just open the drive trays and steal the drives. I mean, on a lot of NAS drives and, you know, external storage drives, you can actually lock the drives in. Again, I've got this QNAP NAS which I use to store all my music on, and here you can see locks on here so that you can lock the drives in to prevent anybody from stealing them. So yeah, kind of makes sense to have a Kensington lock, but it would also make more sense to have put drive bay locks on as well, so you can't just take the drives out. I mean, it's easy to remove the drives on this machine, good and bad, right? But for me, it's not a problem because, you know, this is in my home studio. It's never going to leave my home studio, and yeah, as long as nobody comes into my house, breaks in and steals it, we're all good. So with the Thunderbolt 3 ports on the back, you can plug one into your computer and that will actually power and charge up your computer. Now you're only going to get limited power out of that. I think it's up to 27 watts. So when you think I've got a MacBook Pro 16-inch and that requires, well, the power supply for that is like 95 watts or something like that. So so you're not going to charge up very, very quickly, but you know, if you want to consolidate leads and things like that, then you know, this is a good solution. And then, you know, if you need the extra horsepower, as you do sometimes with video editing, you can always plug in your mains lead, so you're not going to deplete the battery too quickly. And with the other Thunderbolt 3 port, you can use that to connect more of these Lacie drives, even the 6 bigs or even the 12 big, or monitors or any other USB Thunderbolt type peripheral. So that's pretty good. So guys, I'm going to get this 6 big set up, configured, and I'm going to come back to you with a real review on how this thing performs, because the read-write speeds are supposed to be really, really good. And I've heard that, you know, a lot of creators out there, when they're using this drive, they just put their footage straight onto this drive and edit straight off of it. So no need to put it onto your computer internal hard drive or little SSDs, which I do use for being out and about. You can just edit straight off of this drive. So I'm going to be back with a real review on how this thing actually performs. As you well know, I buy all my own gear. I don't have anything sent to me. I'm not sponsored. This isn't sponsored. This is an expensive piece of kit bought with my money. So you will get an honest, unbiased review from me. Of course, if anyone's out there that wants to send me anything to review, I'll happily do it. But I will be back with a full review on this box very, very soon. Guys, if you've got any comments, questions about anything to do with this drive, please leave them in the comments section below. Thank you ever so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and click on the bell icon so you can be notified of new videos. Guys, I will be back soon, and until then, I'm Dave with Seeing Through a Lens. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you the next time. Bye for now.